Hey, got another build for you here. We got a single 8-inch kicker CompR and a sealed enclosure going in I think it's a 2018 Ford Flex. What I'm gonna go with here is 1/2-inch MDF. Get everything pre-cut and ready off the table saw, and then whenever I do any wedge boxes, I get my angles set up first. And then make sure everything is square, get my points of contact. And then I'll go ahead and get the speed square and find out the degree of that angle, which should be right at 14, if I'm not mistaken, is where I had it. So go over to the table saw, set it up at 14 degrees on the blade, line it up. And because I have trust issues, I always do a pre-cut just to make sure if I got to make any little adjustments before I make the final pass through. Better to be safe than sorry. So I got that one done, and I'll go ahead and duplicate that on the other piece as well. Double check myself, make sure I'm true. I'll go ahead and outline a 1/2 inch around the top piece where I'm going to put my screws. Again, dealing with 1/2 inch material makes it a lot easier. Getting a little stand here so I can put the small piece on it when I'm getting ready to glue it together, so I'm not fighting it. Just out of some scrap pieces is all that was, getting it level, getting it to the same height. Clamp it, put the tape on there to show you the gapping of the screws. Hit it with a little small bead of glue on the inside, and we can keep it moving. A little long shot there for you. Now I'll get ready to start on my side pieces here. Dry fit into place, clamps just to make sure everything is square and even. Hit it with a little pencil mark from the inside out. Now I'll get me a scrap piece on my table saw that's bigger than the side piece I'm going to use, because this is where I'm going to apply the double face tape to my side piece and attach it to the piece I ran through the table saw. And this will get me that edge and keep it nice and straight. Go ahead and pry that on off of there. Do a quick little test fit. Oh yeah. Looking good already. Look, I tell you, but look at that wristband. I see you, young man. Looking good over there. Got to love that. Crispy. All right, go ahead and add some glue, and you know it, 100% glue coverage on all joining pieces. The piece that I actually cut off for that, I'll use it to clamp it into place to keep my clamps from sliding. Hit it with some glue on the inside, not much, just a little bit, and I'll repeat the process on the other end. Coming together nicely. Now I'll go ahead and use some extra pieces I had that I already cut pre-angles on for previous boxes just to get the top part even, so when I get ready to start attaching this piece on, it doesn't slide on you. You're dealing with a flush surface. Getting everything marked up, still at 14 degrees. That number won't change. Trimmed it down, it took a couple passes, just a little bit off each time. Go ahead and hit it with some glue, and I'll go ahead and throw this piece on. Again, using some fall off angle pieces just to help keep the clamps from sliding. Now I'm getting ready to line out for my center hole cutout for the subwoofer, finding the center point. When you're dealing with these angles that the subwoofer cutouts on the front faces at an angle, you got to be careful, making sure you're not too high or too low. And you'll find out I didn't have any room to mess with on this one because of the subwoofer. Regardless of how to do it, you'll see those terminals on the right. Keep that in mind, because that will come bite you later. Here I am doing a little dry scrab run. Pivot point before I cut the blade on, so I got my 2 points, put a tape on it, make sure I like the cutout before I cut it on. Subwoofer hole cut out. Now I get ready to work with the trim piece, and if I wouldn't have got so much of in a hurry and cut that out first and did both of these pieces and drilled through the middle like you've seen in the past, I wouldn't have had to do it this way. A little bit more steps, a little tedious, but still come up with the same response. Now I don't like sharp edges, so I'm trying to find a good little radius to use to get that edge I want. None of those worked, it was too big, so I got a little 1/4 inch flat washer out of the scrap bucket. Hit the jigsaw and knocks those out. Then I'll take my little hand sander, or sand it by hand, sorry about that, to smooth out the edges to the contour that I like. Put it up there, a little dry fit. Liking the way it's looking. Okay. Now I set up my little router table, my rabbit bit, because this is where I'm going to be tucking the fabric around those two pieces. Now that that's done, I'll go ahead and get my 1/4 inch hardboard pieces set up for the top section of the box. Get it on the chop saw over here and cut it down to the right width that I want. line it out, and I'm gonna notch out that top section because I don't want that overhang. Made my marks. I'll cut it out with a jigsaw later. Right here I'm getting ready to add these two little beauty pieces on, or flush pieces. Sorry about that. 100% glue coverage. Now here, if I would have cut through both pieces the first time, I was telling you earlier, now I got to adjust my gap to make sure I'm equal on each side, which one side pushed me with a little bit overhang, which you can see there, which I'll take care of that with my flush trim bit later. Little stuff, but it can all be fixed. Now I'll go ahead and notch that section out. Hit it with the hand, sand it a little bit by hand, anything that was off, till I got the look that I wanted. Then put it on there and give me a little rabbit edge cut around the outer side. Took the top of a spray can to get the radius for my centerpiece that I'm gonna cut out for the decal for the little piece of plexiglass. That's what I'm doing here, playing with that. Templates taped into place, step up bit trimmed out, the bigger pieces, cut it out with a jigsaw. I'll take it over to the flush trim bit on the router table. Make a few passes around that. I'll pop these pieces back off, change the bit out, and put the rabbit bit back in there, and make a pass on it as well. Oh, no, sorry about that. I gotta check the depth of the fabric first before I did that. That's what that was for. Fabric, then a little piece of plexiglass, then I can go ahead and run that rabbit bit. Grab the orbital sander, go ahead and knock everything down smooth. And here I'm showing you before I sanded it, same edge, and I'll show it again after I sanded it. You gotta love the orbital sander. A good tool to have. Now I'll go ahead and add me a couple pieces of 1/4 inch dowel bracing for this box. Go over here on my miter saw, I'll cut my angle, which is 14 degrees. Checking my depth that I'm gonna need. Now I'll go ahead and put the speed square on there and true up my blade, my angle, before I make the straight cut for those bracings. Get ready to screw these or dry fit them into place. Make my mark so I can pre-drill all my holes for them. Here I am finding the center point where I want it, bracing to be located, and I'll trace that mark around the entire front, back and side of the box so I can get on the back side, so I know my lines, my screw line-up holes in the dowel location will be the same. Pre-drill each one. Use these little nails to hold them into place before I start gluing them, just to line everything up. That's all they're doing, is holding them in place for me. Take one out, screw one side in, take the other one out, and repeat the process. Glue coverage. All right, looking good and tight. I like the way that is. Now we'll get on to the plexiglass. Got everything marked out. We'll go over here to the table saw, make a few passes, move that fence back and start working my side pieces and my angles, getting everything fit back and forth until I like it. And we are good to go. Get everything lined out on top, centered placed, so I can get ready to start doing the fabric. Excuse me. 2-part contact. Spray the fabric and the surface it's going to. Let it set up for about 60, 90 seconds, or at least till it's tacky. I'm removing the back film that'll be up against the fabric. Add some glue. And I shot these in with the 1-inch nails with my air nailer here. Sanded everything down. Here I'm showing you the right side is sharp, left side and bottom is rounded. Just taking that sharp edge off because it will cut you and it will tear your fabric if you're not careful. Speaker terminal cub lined out, drilled out, pre-drilling all my mounting screw holes. Did the same thing for the subwoofer as well while I had everything out. Always drilling at a slight angle towards the material just to ensure you get more bite. Now I can go ahead and wrap the centerpiece. It's going to be a two-tone box. So I'll start with the centerpiece that'll be that the subwoofer will mount into. Glue tucked into place, trimmed on out. That's that charcoal gray. Now I believe I'm jumping to the top now. Yes, I'll be going to the top section, just repeating the process. Again, leaving that outer protective layer on that plexi protects it. So overspray is not going to hurt it any. Go ahead and roughed it out, trimmed and tucked it, repeated the process on it as well. I went ahead and removed the plexiglass protective coating. Now I'll start wrapping around the rest of the box. And it'll be one piece. I'm wrapping from the back around to the front. Since my two flush pieces are separate, it'll tuck in there and I still won't have any seams. Nice transition. Oh yeah, I like it. And we'll go ahead and jump and flip it on the bottom side. I'll work the bottom, which won't be seen, but I'm gonna go ahead and trim it up like it is, cutting it down the middle, overlapping each other and making one cut between both pieces. Then you peel it back, remove the inner piece, and you can just match your seams back up. And the glue stays tacky, but it does not transfer onto the material. That's the thing I like about that. And you know me, I'm gonna hit it with the staples just to prevent lift over time. The way you can slide the box, move it, and the fabric won't go nowhere over time. Prep up my speaker terminals like I always do. You've been with me long enough, you know the process. There we go, solid. Go ahead and screw that into place. Now we can get ready to start messing with this subwoofer. Put the tape on it so you can actually see some measurements there, outer diameter, mounting depth. You gotta love that speaker terminal setup. I like that switching. You can switch between the two, makes it way easier. Here I'm showing you the depth of that. It is critical if you're messing with a box that's wedge, that you're limited on space, and you'll see why here in a little bit. It was pushed on into place, and this is what I was talking about. I knew I was gonna run into this problem in the beginning when I designed the box, but I was limited on what I can do, where the box could go, and the depth and the width I had to work with. Here I'm setting it in there and it's mounting, it's touching against that terminal. It will not sit flat. So, flip it upside down and we back in there. Oh yeah. Use some 1 1/4 coarse wood screws for all the screws except for the bottom two here. I had to use 1 inch. Too thin on the bottom. The angle that it was in, it would have protruded out of the bottom side. As always, set your clutch one of the lowest settings when you're running your screws in so you do not strip them out, and always finish tightening them up by hand, where you can get the feel of it. Yeah, come on with it. You know you gotta like that. You gotta like that. Now let's go ahead and put these decals on there. And you know I'm gonna double layer them. Give it some depth on it. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Put the light gray on the back side. Get it locked into place. I never would have figured out something this simple to do would make that big of a difference on the look. That's crazy. That is crazy. I love it. I love it. Slick. And there we go. We got it buttoned up. We are done. Another one in the books. Next, I'll be doing the install. It's not yet. I've got to wait because the customer will not be able to have access to the shop for about another 2 weeks. But we got him done. He's ready to go. And on to the next one. Thanks again.